All right, we're back in the studio, and welcome everybody. So let me introduce you to this session. A few years ago, I had a phone call with Mads before I started here. Mads was in his summer house. He was talking about this great technology he was doing, and of course, Mads is a great and vivid speaker of show don't tell, so he was sharing his phone and he was scanning the room he was in the summer house, and I was, wow, that's great technology, but how can you convert that into business value? And here we are today to talk about exactly that. And I'm so thrilled to be here with two legends, I want to say, in SynergyXR, Mads and Carlos. So please introduce yourself, gentlemen.
Thank you very much. Carlos, will you start?
Yes,
sure.
Please.
So my name is Carlos, and thank you for having me here. It's a pleasure, and there's so many exciting things to talk about. So I'm looking very much forward to getting through all of them.
Yep.
But my name is Carlos. I originally come from Barcelona, moved to Denmark 5 years ago now to study my master's in mechanical engineering.
All right.
During the last year of my master's, I was also a student assistant at Grundfos, and that's sort of where I've been working ever since. After becoming a student assistant, I was hired into the graduate program, which is a talent development program where you can go. I was privileged enough to go in 4 different departments over 2 years at Grundfos. So anything from additive manufacturing to product management to XR. And then after those 2 years, I was hired in my fixed position, which is my current role as a senior XR engineer at Grundfos, and where I have a focus on reality capture.
And I know not everybody goes to that graduate program. It's quite a quite a
I would say it's a bit tough to get in, but it's also super rewarding. I'm privileged.
Cool. Yeah. And Mads, I think everybody knows you by now, but hey, let's hear it from the man.
Thank you, Jake. My name is Mads Troelsgaard, and I'm CEO and co-founder of SynergyXR. And I've been working with augmented and virtual reality for over a decade, and been looking into these technologies for a long time as well. I remember first time I saw a device that could 3D scan, a handheld device. Of course, we know of 3D scanners like photo scanners and what's it called, handheld professional scanners as well, 3D scanners. But first time I saw a mobile device with one was the Google Tango project. I think that was back in 2014 and 15, where I was traveling, all over the world with this device, and said, all right, next year it's coming into all mobile phones. You can getting used to this, because this technology will, really make a difference in how we work, how we're being social, how we capture images, even our private lives and stuff like that, as the summer house and stuff like that, right? But it was not quite the year after. It took another 5 years before the technology actually. But now it's here. It came with I think the first version was iPhone 12 Pro that had a LiDAR sensor in it. Yeah. And ever since, so 13 and 14 Pros also have LiDAR sensors in it. And I think it's so exciting. And I'm really happy to have you here, Carlos, and actually telling people about this. So
this is going to be so cool. So yeah, let's and we're going to divide it into like 3 different parts of the technology. So let's begin with what is the technology and dive a little into that. And I think we prepared a little slide for that. So walk us through the different scanner applications that you're using.
So we've tailor-picked 4 of them, very different between themselves, but let's see if we start with Scanniverse, which is the one that at least we recommend for first-time users, because it's very quick and simple to get started. It's also free, which might be a barrier for some people. The first one uses LiDAR to scan, and you will see later on how exactly we do that with a video demonstrating how I'm scanning a facility. So the first one is really, click and play with the LiDAR sensor on the iPhone, or also the iPad Pros also have a LiDAR sensor included. Then we also have PolyCam, which has LiDAR capabilities, but we're using mostly for photogrammetry. Okay. So photogrammetry would be, instead of using the LiDAR sensor, you're using only images or frames from a video to generate that 3D model.
Okay.
So then you're not limited to a device with a LiDAR sensor.
And I think we have a video showing that as well, right?
Yes.
Yeah, we do. And I would like to add, PolyCam can do a lot of stuff. It can also do room scans, anonymized, where you get like just like the plans, floor plans as well, and stuff like that. So it's an incredible application. I'm a huge fan.
Yeah, and it costs close to nothing. It's really not expensive.
No, I think the price tag is somewhere around $80 per year.
Yeah. So compared to some of the devices you mentioned earlier, the Faro and the Tango, I don't even know if they put a tag on that. Cool. So we have a new kit on the block as well.
Yes, indeed. That is Luma AI. So I think the beta rolled out last year, I believe, and it's based on what we call or what is called NERFs.
Okay.
If you've heard about them, which stands for neural radiance fields. Still getting to grips with the terminology.
Yep. Thank you very much.
And it's also photogrammetry based, so it only uses images, so no LiDAR required, and it does bring a significant improvement from traditional photogrammetry.
Okay.
You will see just how in a second. And yes, and that is it's exciting. It's still. You can see that it's being developed very fast and still sort of has some rough edges. That's why it's not as mature as the previous two applications. But the results coming out from it are really, really impressive.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, it amazes me to see how fast the technology is moving. I mean, even though we are a little disappointed that it took more than 5 years to go from a Tango to something applicable. It's moving at a fast pace. So buckle up and stay tuned and don't miss the train.
No.
Cool. So Mads, perhaps you will add. So the final part of the technology. Now we've kind of talked about 3 ways to capture scans. We need something to kind of stitch it all together.
Yeah, and of course the last application we're going to talk about today is SynergyXR, which also have scan capabilities, but it's for a different purpose, for not only for capture like products or environments, but we're going to dive a little more into this, but this is where, you kind of start to collaborate around the 3D scans and reality captures.
Yeah. Excellent. Cool. So let's jump into a little hands-on on how to use the Scanniverse. And again, it's you that is
yes. So
walk us through this.
Here is the app where the first thing that you have to select is what size of an object you want to scan. So I think there I clicked medium. And the only thing that does is change the range of the LiDAR sensor. So you can see that I think one of the only text on screen is that range, which is now set at 2.5 meters.
Yeah.
It can vary from 0 something to 5 meters, which is the maximum range of the LiDAR sensor in the iPhones. Once you select the range, click record, just like a video, and you can see that I need to just go all the way around the object or the environment that I want to scan to get rid of these red and white stripes. So that is areas that haven't been scanned yet.
Got it.
And you can see that, I use a selfie stick to get around objects a lot better. It's not crucial, it's not necessary, but if you're doing these often, you will quickly, or your knees will quickly tell you that maybe you should use some help to get around or bend under certain objects. And you can see it's quite simple. So once you're happy with the results and there's no white and red stripes in the area that you want to scan, then you can click stop, as I will do shortly. And then the good thing about Scanniverse is that everything is processed on device. So no internet connectivity required. I can be in a dark basement with no internet and it will still run just fine.
Yeah.
I think Scanniverse is pretty good for environment scans. At least that's my experience.
Yes.
But it's super fast and super user friendly.
Yeah. And at a very reasonable price tag.
It's free.
Cool.
Exactly.
I love the return of the selfie stick, and I also love how you apply a little health and safety to take care of yourself. Don't get on your knees too much. And
so here I finished the scan now, and I would click process as an area, so the middle button, that uses the data from the LiDAR. And the processing is sped up. It would typically take around 1 minute, but you can already see on the device the result live. Since the LiDAR captures the distances, you can also measure on the device. So for example, if I wanted to measure that pipe is 187 meters. It's not millimeter accuracy.
No.
But it's also not one of those big Faro scanners that need to carry around with a suitcase, and you need specific training. It's something that you can fire up from your phone in no time, just like you would be taking a video. Yeah. So it's that scale that we're chasing.
How long time do you think you took for creating this scan?
Overall, 2-3 minutes.
Yeah.
Maybe 30 seconds, 1 minute extra for processing. Yeah.
And Scanniverse also have a functionality. If you click the edit button, then you can actually cut it, crop it, basically. And of course, that's I think that's a key functionality as well. I use it every time I use the application. Yeah.
And I mentioned that you don't need connectivity to run the app.
Yeah.
Furthermore, you don't need a GPS signal because because it uses the gyroscopes on the phone to know its relation with regard to the environment. But that also means that you should avoid jerks on the phone.
Yeah.
Right. So you shouldn't do rapid movement. You shouldn't drop your phone, because then it will limit sort of the sensor data on the gyroscopes, and it might create some errors that we known as drift, where you go back to the scan and then it's not in the same position as it should be. So again, you want to do as much smooth movements as possible.
Yeah.
And if you can, it's not critical, but if you can only scan the area sort of once without going back to it, there's also a less chance of drifting and the scan having moved from when you got there. It might not be so relevant in a scan like this, but if you're scanning a 100 square meter room, then that might be a bit more challenging.
Cool. Yeah. Interesting. So let's move to PolyCam. I think we have a movie about that as well. And let's just roll it. Here we go. Boink. There you go.
So PolyCam, in this case, I'm using for photogrammetry. So taking different images. So the first thing that you notice is that I'm not using the selfie stick anymore. Yeah. That's because I have to manually click every time I want to take an image. There is an option in PolyCam to just record a video. You can see there the toggle between manual and I think video or automatic, where you could just take a video and it would take frames from that video. But in our experience, when you do that, it's very easy to get carried away and just move the phone too fast. So the frames in that video end up being blurry and might not give a better quality.
Got it.
So of course, it's going to take much longer to manually click every single image that you want to do. Here I'm doing maybe from 5 or 6 distances.
It's counting up over here.
So I'm on 100 images now, because I'm doing 5 or 6 every more or less 20 degrees. So maybe this whole process was a bit over 5 minutes.
Okay.
And to process that photogrammetry model, then you do need connectivity.
Okay.
So not to take the actual images, you could do that without, but if you want to actually generate the 3D model, you don't have to do it instantaneously. You could wait till you're back home or back at the office, but you will need to upload it to the cloud and then get the 3D model back.
Yeah.
You can also do it on site if you, of course, have a connection.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. Yeah. So that was PolyCam. Let's jump on to the new kid on the block.
So the new kid on the block, the exciting one is Luma AI.
Oh, hang on. Let's see if I can turn the video on. Here we go.
So this one is also perhaps the most complex to operate, but it's also the one with the better results if done right. So the first thing that you have to do is select a bounding box around the object of interest. In this case, this water treatment system. So you would modify the box to encompass everything that is of interest.
Yep.
And once you do that, it will generate 3 different paths at 3 heights of the 3D model. And along those paths is where you have to take images. So you will see just now shortly that I confirm the box, and you see these 3 areas in purple. And then I just have to follow along with the crosshairs, and now I'm doing the top line, and it helps again to have the selfie stick to not get as tired arms.
Yeah.
Especially. Then once I go all the way around the top path, I will move into the middle one and then the lower one. So there I've completed the top one, moving into the middle. You can see that the color changes from purple to blue, and when I miss the spot, then I can go back and correct that.
So you need to go back to correct it if you
Yes.
kind of miss a spot.
It does allow for some tolerance. So you see the number at the bottom right, that is the percentage of completion. And you could sort of complete the scan and process it with a 90 something or high 80s, and it would still allow you to do that. But of course, the better, the more accurate the scan will be.
And it actually also just takes a picture at each dot on that purple line all the way, and then it turns into this kind of green color.
You can see that the orientation doesn't matter. So now to do the bottom ring, I've flipped the phone around just to be able to hold it easier with a selfie stick. But since it's also using the gyroscopes to know where it is in space, then you can flip it around, no problem.
Yeah.
Once I've completed it, I can upload it and it will process on the cloud after naming it, of course.
Yeah.
That will take longer than the other apps. That will be anywhere between around 15, 20, maybe even 30 minutes, depending on the load of their servers.
Yeah.
But you will see that once it's processed, the result is actually very, very impressive.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Depending on how familiar you are with 3D models, but this just from video is...
It's extremely good.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's.
I think Luma AI is also it's the new kid on the block, but I think there's no doubt that it's more complex. It demands more patience when you're both, of course, scanning or capturing.
Yeah.
And I think the use of a selfie stick is super important in this place, because you will get, kind of tired and going down on your knees and actually holding your phone all the way around it. And, it for an impatient person like me, that really, man. And then I also, have to wait 20 minutes for the scan to process.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my God. But of course, it will become a lot better over time as well.
Absolutely.
We've seen that with all the other applications and stuff like that. But the result is super good. Yeah.
Yes.
All right, so let's jump to final part.
Yes, so that is using SynergyXR's own scanning technology.
We'll start
and I think it's important to so in here you see that you're tapping that, all right, I'm gonna scan a new area, because for SynergyXR in the scanning process, it's actually the area that is the most important part here. So it's not for scanning objects or something like that. It's more for areas. Because once we have a 3D scan of an area, then it's possible for the user to actually persist augmented reality content, so virtual content, into the real environment. And because we have the scan, then we can actually start saving this virtual content into the space. But we can also invite other colleagues or stakeholders into the environment together with us. So in here we see that Carlos now is placing a 3D model into the real space. He's doing that in the scan on his device right now. He's doing it on site. It would also be possible to do in AR mode. Now it's done in VR mode, but you can also do it in AR mode and also save that in AR mode into the space. But now we see another person comes in. This could be 3 months later. That comes to the same site, another, a colleague or a service technician or something like that. And then you can actually reload that area. So now you see he's scanning the area again to recognize it. Once it's recognized the scan, it will load all the content that Carlos saved into that space. So before we saw he added a pump into the space and saved that. And now you can see that virtual content is actually in the room. And now he can also start interacting with it. And Carlos can even join from virtual reality from another place in the world, because he might be the expert in this installation.
Yeah.
And then he can jump in to the space and actually see it. So over here in the top corner, we see the VR version. So that's Carlos' view when he jumps in and meeting with this service technician that is on site, where Carlos can be like in Argentina, or in
or
Shanghai, Barcelona, of course. And you can actually also join from a PC. So now we have a third person just joining from the PC version. He joins into the scan, where we see Carlos is doing explanations concerning the pump. And so 3 persons is actually one on site, one from PC joining the space, and one from virtual realities joining the same space in the same time. It's also possible to actually activate the camera on the iPad, and then you can join from a PC and see through. So you can see what the iPad camera is seeing, and then you can start collaborating. So kind of a remote assist scenario.
Yep.
And you can draw, of course, on the virtual content into the space. You can also draw into the 3D content, of course. Yep. But this is like a person that's joining from a PC and actually doing collaboration real time on site together with that person, where you can see through the camera as well. So you don't only have the scan, but you also have the possibility to actually see the real world through the camera.
Yeah, and work together across geographies and technological devices and everything.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that's a different way of using the 3D scans.
Yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely.
But of course, it's also possible to actually bring in the scans that we just saw from Scanniverse, Luma, and PolyCam into SynergyXR, but we will get back to that.
Yeah, yeah, we have a little something prepared for that for a little later. Okay, cool. So now we kind of went through some of the things, some of the technologies that we use, and how to use them, and let's jump into kind of the business value that it provides. I mean, I'm obsessed with business value, because if we cannot deliver business value, then we're going to be obsolete really soon. And this is where I love working with you and Grundfos, because I mean, you guys just embrace new technology and see, hey, where can we fit this in, and where can we have value out of this great new technology?
Yes.
So let's jump into a few of the application that you use.
And that's also a big part of our purpose in the team, to explore, but also to operationalize and internally support where in the organization this makes sense. And sometimes it can be tough, because there's so many places where it does make sense and it does add value, that how do we keep focus, and how do we ensure that we follow through through the complete solution. So I'll mention a few. And then I'll deep dive into what I find is the most interesting and where we find the most traction. So of course, because of all the spectrum of scale that we can scan from all the apps that you've seen up to now, you can scan from a part of a pump to a complete water utility facility, just flying around with a drone and turning those images into a 3D model. So, of course, all of those 3D models can be used for something which is very mature, like marketing, where we're already using a lot of 3D generated content. And then we can sort of support marketing with further assets, which are, created like this in no time. And we can also use those assets in virtual reality shop floor training. So if we want to train a new employee on how to be safe around a shop floor environment, what do they need to do with the parts? How do they mind their head? Make sure that they wear the right protective equipment. We can also do that in SynergyXR in many of the rooms and environments that they have, while also adding that 3D those 3D scans into that experience. The one where we're having a lot of traction now is using it in the sales cycle. So as part as a quotation maybe, or even before, to scope out and to predict leads at Grundfos, but also further down the line during installation. So how do we make sure that we're going to install the new product into that customer environment correctly? Will it fit? Will it not fit? What is the footprint? So I'll show a few of those cases in just a minute. And before we move on, the last thing, which is perhaps more less mature and more around the corner is using those 3D models as part of, for example, machine learning algorithms and AI, which is in everyone's mind these days. Yeah. So, for example, using one of these 3D assets as synthetic training data for an algorithm, so that we can use image prediction better, improve it without requiring thousands of images from the field. We can generate a 3D model and then generate images from that 3D model, for example.
Oh, cool. Super cool. Yeah. My mind is, whoa.
So definitely a very wide variety and
it really is. I mean, I'm back to our conversation in the summer house. Whoa, why are you doing this? And how can you do that? But I love working with you guys, obviously, but also to kind of see where will this take us and how can we apply business value to this.
It's super great. And we also done like projects where we have uploaded, or where we actually have like images, 3D models in there, but we can do like a training application where we generate like thousands of pictures of that model, so it's easier being recognized for machine learning and stuff like that. Yeah. And we done that for other customers as well, created something like that. And because today it can easily take a long time to actually gather a lot of pictures for training, for doing machine learning or AI recognitions and stuff like that. But actually, that can be done in a virtual world super easy and super fast while you're sleeping, maybe.
Ooh, goosebumps. Yeah, I like that. Okay, so you talked about the sales cycle. Let's dive a little into that.
Exactly.
How you apply business value to that part.
So here on screen, we can see a couple of examples of real-life cases where we've used a scan taken from a customer site and combined it with one of our CAD models of our products.
Okay.
So you could say that as a traditionally engineering company, we're experts in CAD models and engineering drawings and whatnot.
Yeah.
But what is new is this combination of the more organic customer side. So we see a water utility installation in the Netherlands and a cooling application system in the UK.
Yeah.
So for two of our different divisions at Grundfos, since we're split up into 4 divisions, tailoring for domestic buildings, commercial buildings, water utility, and industry. The latter two are where these 2 cases are from. So where we also have a wide variety of applications in all of those divisions. Yeah. And these were part of the quotation process where it was shown to the customer. So instead of sending, you could say, now I'm going to say boring, but yeah, maybe some people might be angry at that, but a boring email with a PDF attached.
Yep.
You can send this model with all the information as well in the PDF and maybe annotate it. But basically enrich the quotation for the customer.
Yeah, and I had heard one of your colleagues tell me about this process where you used to actually take maybe 200 pictures of a site, and of course, a folder with that many images, and you kind of your mind is trying to stitch it all together and get a understanding of how big is this space and stuff like that. And then he told me that and I love this statement, but if a picture says more than 1,000 words, then a 3D scan says more than 1,000 pictures.
Amen to that.
and it really helps in a situation like this when you are in the 3D model to really understand the size of this space and what it looks like, and you just kind of connect everything and can see how it's all connected.
Yes. Yeah. And you can use this as part of the sales quotation, like I said, to send to the customer, but you can also use it for internal discussions with an application manager who might be a domain expert, without having to bring them to the customer site again and again, because some of these projects might take somewhere between months and half a year, even a year. And if you have to do a visit every month to that customer site, then that's just
a lot of travel expenses.
That's a lot of traveling. And if you can just have the conversation out from the 3D model and measure on the 3D model because it has the LiDAR information in it, then you don't just avoid the travel expenses, the sustainability aspect of traveling. Yeah.
And you can meet in there, in a VR headset even, and actually feel that you're there, so you get this telepresence experience of actually being there. And you don't have to spend money on the traveling tickets or hotels or anything, but I think what's more important is the time that you spend in an airport, in an airplane, right? That's downtime, basically downtime.
It's human downtime.
It is human downtime, and that's costly.
I've also heard firsthand from sales colleagues that also the stress reduction, because you don't have to spend maybe, okay, they're allocated to a specific area, but that specific area could be all of the UK. So going to a customer site might be driving 3-4 hours to a customer site, driving back, spending the whole day. And if you can have that same conversation out from the 3D model in 1 or 2 hours and spend the rest at home, at the office, catching up with other work, you can also be so much more productive than spending all those travel hours.
Yeah. Exactly, and especially also when you're taking the planes or something like that, when it's more over 2 days, because it demands that, and if you have to travel a long distant location, this just helps, work-life balance. I know it's the more softer side about this, but basically that, it's time off where you don't see your family and stuff like that, right? So being able to do this, it's just smart.
Yeah,
and it's better for the environment. We don't, let out that too much CO2 emissions as well. I think, and I know for a company like Grundfos, this is super important.
Absolutely.
And I could talk about the benefits for hours, but
we're gonna do an 8-hour session real soon for the hardcore fanatic fans of this podcast. But let's skip it for now.
Also, exactly. So something as simple as I forgot to measure behind the door. Or something, and I spent all of this time traveling, and I forgot to, because right now most colleagues are just taking pictures and using the good old measuring tape. But after you come back and then, actually what was behind this place or what was under the specific equipment, then you just pop up the 3D model, measure point A, point B. Okay, there we go. Yes.
And will this new pump eventually fit in here?
Exactly.
Is it too big? That's a bummer when you discover that on site with a new pump
when you come with a new pump in hand and all the pipes prepared, it's like, now I can't install it.
Okay, that's a day's work wasted. All right. So I think we have a little animation of some of the stuff that you do. Hang on, let me just.
So apart from static images, what we've had great reception in doing is generating an animation like this, where we have the old system with the big cabinet and the 3 pumps, in this case in a booster system.
And that's a 3D scan that you made, where you actually pull out the old installation.
Yes, so we sort of cut out the old part of the scan, and then we put the new products that we have from engineering into place with a higher efficiency and integrated frequency drive, and because of that we can use a small cabinet, so it's not as bulky as the last one you saw. And then we can measure, what is the footprint that we've gained? What is that space there in the corner that we have?
Just highlight this.
How will it also look? How will it look in the facility? So this is not from a customer, and we do have great cases from customers, but unfortunately we can't show them. So this is from actually our office in Singapore, in the Grundfos office. The basement, we have a fire hydrant system. So as part of the graduate program, actually, I was in a rotation there, and I just sort of sneaked my way into the basement, took a scan with I believe this was a Scanniverse, so pretty quick, and then showed them what it would look like if they changed their booster set. And of course, this you could annotate with all the more technical benefits like energy savings and cost analysis and so on. You could put that together in a package and then just present it in a very, very neat way.
That's super cool. So how much of experience do you need to actually remove and make the animation of the old pumps to?
So to do the scan, as you saw before, it's really very simple. But the more challenging part comes perhaps in handling the scan, because we're not that much. We're very much experts in engineering models and 3D and CAD and step files. And now I'm getting a bit technical, but the traditional engineering 3D models. But when we talk about GLB models and 3D models that are more sort of commonly used in, you could say, gaming, then it becomes a challenge. How do we handle them? How do we can't run them on the traditional applications that we're using or the programs. So that's also where SynergyXR provides a lot of excellence and a lot of support in handling these 3D models. How do we simplify them? How do we cut them? The quick and simple answer is what we've found that works best is using Blender, actually, which is open source software to cut away, and there's a lot of great tutorials also online on how to get started with that. So that would be, I would suggest that would be the next step if you want to do something more creative with the scan.
Yeah.
Apart from the as-is version.
But from a customer viewpoint and being presented with an animation like this, it just, like you just said, it says a lot more than 1,000 pages, PDF files or PowerPoint slides, just showing, hey, here's the old equipment, we're going to remove that, here's the new equipment, here's all the space you're saving, and efficiency and everything.
Yeah, and of course in SynergyXR you would be in there in the experience, and you could upload like these 3D models and basically just pull them in, like drag and drop, right?
Yeah.
And place them in there to do a real-time explanation in the site. You could also add that in animation and actually pull it in so you actually see this animation in 3D.
Yeah.
As well, and that also just helps on the understanding.
Especially for someone who might have the financial power to make an investment decision, like a CFO, but is rarely on site because of the nature of their job. So to get all that information in an animation in 30 seconds, when they maybe have never been there or have been there rarely, they can quickly understand, okay, this is what I'm paying for. This is...
this makes sense.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, love it. Okay, let's jump on to another... use case.
It's what we are seeing also from other customers. You guys are using this as a case from you from Grundfos as well.
Yeah.
But we're also seeing a lot of other customers on the platform that is starting to use the 3D scans in onboarding and education as well, because you can actually do like this telepresence experience.
Yeah.
In this case, you're actually getting a introduction to
to water utility facility.
Yeah,
in Denmark. So it's a sort of a training for dummies in waterworks.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and here you can see that the 3D scan is used as well for the educational part. And actually, you can see one of these stations or installations out there. Of course, you can use 360 images as well, which PolyCam now supports actually as well. So the PolyCam application, you can do 360 images as well.
As from last week?
Yes,
so
last week they just released it.
I actually didn't notice. Yeah.
Oh, it's super awesome.
Yeah.
And then you can combine these scans in 3D models and facilities, and where you actually can walk around and really better understand a installation like this without traveling.
Yeah.
So people is in this session is like joining from all over the world into this session together with a teacher that goes around and actually explains, the flow and stuff like that in this facility. Yeah. It's super amazing. And it was quite an old video. This is a newer video from the same facility where it's you again, Carlos, that is actually doing some explanation. And in here, there is another version where you added a 3D scan into this.
Yes.
And I think it's pretty amazing, this scan. That's pretty rough as well. See all the dust on it and stuff like that. But you can just drag them into the platform and do explanations, which we also will see on the next slide, where we can actually see, all right, what can we actually do with them?
Exactly. So if we wanted to have a higher focus on the specific scan and then talk out of it, then I think we can go to the next slide and discuss that. So this is the same 3D model imported into a blank room, and then we have our team lead who will walk us through what, for example, he wants to do with this installation. So he wants to get rid of this old pump because it might not be efficient enough or it might not make sense. Also, this one is going out. And then the whole animation, he talks about, replacing a pipe, and then we're going to get rid of this one and bring it up here and whatnot. And you can see that, for example, he's in VR. So he's, I think, using his Quest 2. So in VR, so he can draw with the controllers in 3D. But I'm just joining from the iOS app from my phone. So you can see the two toggles on the left and right hand side of the screen. We could have other colleagues joining from also iPad or PC or other VR headsets, so very cross-platform friendly. And then we could all be there together with customers or application managers to discuss if what we want to install or modify makes sense
Yeah.
Also, we could discuss the cost from there, or we could take that in a separate meeting.
Yeah.
But actually,
yes,
this you could actually have done this on site with your phone. So after
Yes.
you've done one of the scans that we saw earlier, you could have uploaded that, and then you could join in a session like that together with Christian, where he shows you on the device, what could be replaced, and he could even bring in another like CAD model and maybe take it out in exploded view, and tell all right, you need to open this product and change this component, and then log it in again, something like that, right? And you can do that on site, or you can do it afterwards, on the devices that you actually are using. But I think we have shown how to scan in the start.
Yep.
But we haven't actually shown how you actually can get these 3D scans into SynergyXR.
Nope.
And my idea about this was that we could do it live. Are you up for that?
Sure, why not? I mean, let's do it live.
All right.
Always. What could possibly go wrong?
Yeah, so I have my phone here, and you have a HDMI cable, and I can just plug that into my phone here. And then let's see. So let's see if we can get it on the screen. Here we are. So if I jump into Scanniverse here for taking one of the applications.
Should I time you?
Oh yeah, you can time me.
Oh yeah,
that's a great idea, Carlos. Let's see how long time this actually takes. So you can see I have different scans here, and I'm just gonna take this scan. And all right, this is actually a scan I made at Grundfos in one of your facilities out there. And now I'm just gonna click share. And then I will export the model, so the last button, and I'm going to click that. And then, as you mentioned before, we use the GLB format. It's the standard format for augmented and virtual reality. So we're going to click that. And then I actually get like this share extension possibility up, like from images and videos as well when you want to share those. And then you just click the SynergyXR application. And this is like workspaces that I have access to. So I have a bunch of workspaces, but today I'm just gonna add it into our SynergyXR demo workspace, and I click select. Then I give it a tag, and I know I already have a Grundfos tag in here. I actually have two, I can see, so I'm just gonna upload it, and boom. Now it's uploaded. So now it's basically in SynergyXR. So of course I could do this on site. I could do this from a scan I did, in Shanghai or in New York, whatever. Yeah. And actually it is in there. Yeah. So if I give you the HDMI cable again, then you can open SynergyXR on your laptop.
Yep.
And then you can bring in this model right away into SynergyXR. And this is, ladies and gentlemen, this is done live. So
the uploading itself was what, 1 minute ish?
Yeah, we are 1 minute 30 seconds now. So it's super fast, super easy, and.
So I'm just going to open one of the standard rooms that we have here, like a factory warehouse, and see if I can find the scan you just uploaded. I mean, we're on the same workspace, so. Let's see.
All right, so that's one of our standard rooms environments that you can actually add it in. Yeah, and if you actually...
I think you added the Grundfos tag, right? There's a lot of Grundfos.
Yeah.
XR. I think this was the one, right?
That's exactly the one.
There we go. Let's just take that.
And boom, here you are.
There we go. Let's just put it on the table. Doink.
That's the scan. So that... from the videos before from the beginning, it's that easy. And now I'm actually joining from my phone as well. And I'm just going to mute myself here.
This one as well.
So
look.
Now I'm actually here with you, and I'm joining from the mobile device.
Yep.
And in less than 3 minutes, you were both in the same room.
Yeah, 2 minutes, 50 seconds.
That's,
less than 3
I can
minutes.
live with that.
Less than 3 minutes.
20 minutes rendering of a scan, I can't live with. But this is,
But basically, it's that fast. Yeah. So once you're done scanning, it's rendered. You throw it in there, and it's just working. And now you can save it. You can collaborate. You can move it around. Yeah, exactly.
Making me nauseous. And
no. But it's just super easy.
Super easy.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. So
let's jump back to the session.
Back to the session here. So go on that one back here, and there we go. Let's go back in here. Cool.
Yeah.
Where were we? That was Christian giving us a little tour here. So yeah, you talked initially about the graduate program, and
yes, and thank you. This is another very different use case of how we can use these rooms that we're generating with the 3D models into them, because we're using them. We use them for the assessment center part of the recruitment process. So you can see that the graduate program is quite a lengthy, has a lengthy process to get in with a lot of different stages. And the last one of these is what we call the assessment center. Traditionally, we would fly in when we had more or less double as many candidates as we were hiring.
Yeah.
Would fly them into the headquarters in Bernbo, and then have the assessment center there on site over 2 to 3 days.
Yeah.
In the year that I was being recruited, that was 2020, so it wasn't a great year to fly in people from all over the world. So actually Grundfos was in a way forced to try and find alternatives, and I was impressed by how quickly they jumped on board with this opportunity and used SynergyXR and VR to do the assessment center.
Yeah.
So the feedback was so great that we haven't gone back to the physical assessment center since then. So that's already 3 different recruitment processes that have all gone in VR during the last stage.
So minimizing a lot of human downtime.
Yes,
I love that.
Definitely. And I was very impressed with how quickly they came up with a solution, because I think the recruitment, also the process was supposed to take place, the assessment center, in April 2020. So it was very at the beginning
early
of
days.
Yes, very early days.
Yeah.
And sort of having to think on your feet and come up with a solution, and VR was there.
Yeah, it's quite amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I actually heard, so I see a little image down in the corner here of Birgitte, and I heard her a speak that she made at a Tech 5 event. And there was a question from the crowd that said, all right, but VR is a new technology. Isn't it hard? Weren't you afraid that the students here couldn't, use the technology, didn't know how to cope with it?
Mm-hmm.
And Birgitte answered, so I'm not a techie. I've never tried VR before, and I literally spent 15 minutes on learning this technology and jumping into SynergyXR and just opening up and being in there. Mm-hmm. So if one of these persons was not capable of using this technology, well, they would probably not be the right person for the job.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Red flag coming up.
Yeah, because it's that easy. So if you can't cope with that, really, then...
Mm-hmm. And as an innovation-focused company that we are, then we should use that as a metric also to assess the savviness of someone to jump into something new and out of their comfort zone.
Yeah. I see a lot of companies like Grundfos actually using new technology to attract new talent, like you, for example, right? And hey, if you could choose between 2 companies, which one would you go to? The one with the old conservative, dusty, hey, this is how we've always been doing it, to, oh, no, we're embracing new technology and are not afraid of making mistakes. Yes. I mean, I would apply for a job at Grundfos if I was your age, obviously.
And that translates to so many areas of the business. So the recruitment with the new technologies, but also the sales with the new technologies, it's the same concept. Would you go with the traditional person who is quoting the same way and has been quoting the same way for 20 years? Or would you go with the innovative idea and the company who is right up there with the peak of innovation?
Absolutely. Yeah. Obviously. All right. So, wow. And time flies, gentlemen. By the way, we're approaching the 45-minute mark, I think. So, That's how it always is in good company. So let's just what are the key takeaways? I think we actually prepared a little slide for that. And I mean, we've talked about you, obviously, how you do scans, what technology you use, my obsession, the use cases. How do we take technology and apply business value with this new technology and actually put it into motion? And I love how you guys are experimenting. I mean, some things, the low-hanging fruits, here we can provide value. Here, maybe, let's explore, let's innovate, let's do experiments and let's see what's happened. And you had something you wanted to chime in with?
Yeah, I think there's so many other use cases that we actually didn't mention today. These are just like the ones that, you know, Grundfos is the furthest with, and also as we are seeing growing very, very fast.
And yeah, one thing, so you've been doing this for I think close to 5 years, like really digging into all the different opportunities. We work with some other great companies, and we see that I mean, you really plowed the way and trailblazing a lot of stuff. We see new companies that begin to explore. I don't think they will necessarily need 5 years to get to where you are. I mean, the learning curve is really getting to a very interesting point right now. So that's super interesting.
And what I enjoy right now is of those last maybe 5 years of exploring this technology, the last 1 or 2, we're at a point where we can prove so much of the value that there's a lot of colleagues, for example, in sales that are doing this themselves already without us having to. We teach them once how to scan and how to handle the 3D model, but then it's them requesting like, hey, I just went to this customer site and I have a 3D scan. Can you help me in making something great for the customer? So it's them sort of actively searching for new leads of using that technology, and it's not just us pushing anymore.
Yeah, so you provided a lot of sales technicians with iPhone 13, right?
Pro, yep.
How many is that?
I think 10 colleagues, with a 13 Pro. Yes.
Yeah. That is out there scanning and literally
generating content.
Yeah, and you know, I've been teaching others also to do these scans, and literally it takes like a couple of hours for actually you to learn. Yeah. And then I would recommend that you spend some time on it, because there is good and bad scans.
Yep.
But it's super easy. And like you mentioned at the beginning, start with Scanniverse. It's free, it's out there, and it's just works like it's taking a movie.
And it's on a device that you have in your back pocket, that you're not afraid of using, and there's not
it's so easy. And then, you know, as you saw, you can take that scan and add it into a collaborative AR and VR space with SynergyXR.
I mean,
and when you start scanning, the use cases will come to you.
Yes.
You don't even have to think of the use cases before. You just gets the mind running really when you see all the different possibilities and the level of detail that you can get.
That's what I really love about.
Then you'll
industry.
start scanning in your private life as well. Yes. All your vacations and stuff like that. You can bring it all home.
Oh yeah, nice. We're moving into a part of Black Mirror or something. let's not go there. All right, so gentlemen, on that high note, thank you so much, Carlos, for being with us today,
pleasure.
and thank you, Mads, for taking your time out of your busy schedule. It's been a pleasure having this conversation with you guys, and I can't wait to do this 8-10 hour session of just really deep diving. We're gonna keep you posted on that. Thank you very much for listening and viewing, and thank you guys for being here.
Thank you.